Amen. And now we are going to have the scripture reading that today comes from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 2, verses 15 to 17. And the Word of God says, "While Jesus was having dinner at Levi's house, many tax collectors and sinners were eating with him and his disciples, for there were many who followed him. When the teachers of the law, who were Pharisees, saw him eating with the sinners and tax collectors, they asked his disciples, 'Why does he eat with tax collectors and sinners?' On hearing this, Jesus said to them, 'It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners.'" May God bless the reading of his word.
Amen. Thank you. Well, it's the wrong people. That's something we're really talented at, really good at as human beings, is deciding and determining who the wrong people are and the right people. The people who are wrong for us or the people who are right for us. Actually, the scientists tell us, psychologists will do studies, and they will tell us that we are so good at this, we do it without even thinking of it. We see somebody we've never seen before, and we size them up immediately. We're not even conscious of this fact. Right away, we put them in the context of this is either the right kind of person or it is the wrong kind of person. And often we use the kind of criteria that, makes sense to people who want to survive, want to keep going. We look at the people and we think, we just do it so quickly. We make this quick arithmetic and decide, well, this person is like me, or this person can do something good for me, or this person is not. We put them at all those people in the wrong person category if they aren't like us or if they can't do something good for us. It's something we can't really control. We all do this. It's a part of our instincts. I think Jesus did it. Jesus was really good at it, in fact. I think he may have been better at it than most of us, looking at people and putting them into two different groups that we call the right people and the wrong people. He didn't call them that. He may have called them the people who are on the inside and the people who are on the outside. And Jesus could tell right away who was on the inside and who was on the outside. And then we get to see, by looking at Jesus' actions, what he did next. Because that's something we can control. We may look at somebody and decide, oh, they look like they may be not the kind of person I want to be around, not the kind of person who's like me. But what do we do next with that? What Jesus always did is he would see those people and he would go right to them. If Jesus were, let's say, in a room like, we go into rooms full of chairs, and he went into a room full of chairs and full of people, Jesus would have been looking for that person who was the wrong kind of person. And he would have gone and sat right next to him. That is what Jesus did. And that's one of the things that we, as his followers, are called to do. To keep our eyes out for those who are on the outside looking in. And not to avoid them, not to get away from them, but to go to them. And show them, as Jesus did, God's love and God's compassion. See, part of what I've been brought up to believe, though, and part of what I believe instinctually as a person, is I need to be careful who I'm around. Right? I need to be careful who I'm with. I got to be careful, listen this way, who I'm seen with. I have to be careful the kind of people that I'm seen with, because other people might make judgments about me based on the kind of people that I'm with. It's again, my desire to be with people who are like me or who can do something good for me. And that's my desire. And it's the desire, too, to be respectable, right? And for other people to look at me and to judge me well. And so, if I'm around people that are the wrong kind of people, they might judge me wrong. So I have this idea, this desire to be respectable. Well, what happens when all these desires, these selfish desires on my part, run headlong against my desire, which is much more important, to be like Jesus, to be like Christ? To live my life in this way. This desire to be respectable, to be safe, to be with people who are easy to be with, people who are similar to me. All of those can kind of go against this nature that I have, this desire that I have, to be like our Lord and Savior, to be like Jesus. So what is it that Jesus would do? Well, the first thing that he would do when he ran into these people is he would actually see them. He would open his eyes to them. That's something that we're really good at. We're really good at not seeing these people until we're forced to be with them, until we're forced to see them. Especially those who are in need, especially the kind of folks who are on the outside looking in. It has never been easier for us, most of us, to be able to rush right past those people, right? We can get in our car, we can roll up our windows, and zoom, down the road we go, and right past all of the suffering and all of the misery and all of the wrong people that others tell us we're not supposed to be around. And there we go, zipping down and completely avoiding until eventually, of course, we are forced to be. Right? When we're at the D&D or we're standing in line at the store, and there we are, head to face with what we might call the wrong sort of people. Then what do? There's a decision right there. Then we are forced to be there. We didn't decide to do it, if we should have, but we're forced to be there. Are we then, even then, going to act with love and with compassion as Jesus did? Again, Jesus sought them out. Jesus saw the folks who were in need, and he stopped. He saw these people that others would say, man, this guy can do me no good. What's he going to do? What good is he going to do me to stop and to talk to this guy? He's not going to offer me anything. And by the way, it may kind of drag me down because my friends may see me talking to him. And so others wouldn't stop. We tend to go right past, right? There's Jesus, always stopping. Jesus sees the blind beggar. Talk about somebody who can do nothing for Jesus, offers no advantage to Jesus, but Jesus stopped. And he healed him. And then there is, worst of all. Worst of all to be around. The traitors. The traitors. I'm talking really the traitors, the kind of people that you would see on the news and you would say, man, they should throw the book at that guy, they should throw him in jail, and then throw away the key. That was the kind of person that Jesus went to. Jesus showed compassion to. The kind that were traitors against their very own country. And Jesus would still go to them. He knew they needed him. And he would show them love and he would show them compassion. Jesus saw Zacchaeus, one of the traitors, tax collector, sitting up in a tree. And he walked right up to him. And Zacchaeus was hated by all the good people in the town. But Jesus went to him and said, Zacchaeus, I'm going to have dinner at your house tonight. With all of your scoundrel friends. We're all going to be there. Jesus saw the woman caught in adultery. She was brought right up to him. The woman caught in the act of adultery. And instead of berating her, Jesus showed her love and compassion and forgiveness and said, go and sin no more. Jesus saw the lepers and he stopped. The prostitutes, the scoundrels, the traitors, once again. And he stopped. He had this great ability to show them love and compassion. Love and compassion to those who needed it the most. As Jesus said in our scripture reading today, I didn't come for those who are well. The doctor didn't come for those who are well. I came for those who are ill, those who are sick. That's who needs me. And Jesus was wonderful at showing this compassion to those who are in need. And he would do it by seeing them, first of all. And that's a wonderful gift. If you feel like you're on the outside, people are just passing by you every day, trying not to look, and somebody stops. Somebody looks at you and sees you and recognizes you as a person. That is a gift of compassion that is simply priceless and wonderful. Jesus did that. Perhaps that's something we can do as well. This first gift of being able to open our eyes and to see. And I tell you, one thing we need to do in order to do that is to get over this one thing that we do, which is the blaming people who are in a difficult situation. Because, when we see people who are hungry, who are homeless, who are having some great problem in their life, who are facing something difficult, we do have a tendency then, again, maybe this is automatic, it's a little more thought out though, I think, of putting them into different categories. I know I certainly do this. I'll see somebody who is, let's say homeless, no clothes, and hungry. And I see someone like that right away. I think, if I can get their story and hear their story, well, they're that way because of a fire in their home and all their clothes burned up and their house burned up. Okay, well, I'm putting them in one category, right? They're in a hurricane, they were in a fire, their house is gone, all their stuff is gone. That could have been me. They didn't deserve that. That was an accident. So they go into a special category that maybe gets a little more help or a little quicker help. And then there's this other category. That's the people who are in that situation. They're homeless, they don't have clothes, they don't have food, because of their own decisions. They have made their bed. And boy, it's a lot easier for me to say, well, then they should just lie in it. They made that bed, they should lie in it. I'm giving my attention to these people over here. That could be me. These people made bad decisions. I'm not going to help them. Well, it's always interesting to see that Jesus never made those distinctions. Jesus just saw people in need. He just saw people on the outside. In fact, one of his greatest stories that we love the most, it's the most popular parable he told, was the parable of the prodigal son. And that was a parable about a guy who just did one dumb thing after another. I mean, talk about making your bed. I mean, he ended up where he ended up because of his own poor decisions. And yet the prodigal son is still welcomed back into the Father's house in the story that Jesus created and told to get us the truth of what God is like and who God cares for. Yeah, it doesn't matter to Jesus what got them to this place of need. All that matters is that they were in need. It's like that woman caught in the act of adultery. Talk about making your own bed. She had made her bed. And there she was. And she was facing this crowd of men ready to stone her. And Jesus, instead of berating her, instead of him telling her all that she had done wrong, he forgives her. And he tells her to go and sin no more. See, it seemed like Jesus saw these folks, even these folks who were making dumb mistakes, I mean, their decisions, bad decisions, he saw them as on the road to something better. Yeah, they were here now, but they were heading to someplace better, and he wanted to give them a little help. The help that he could, the compassion that he could, by seeing them, by talking to them, by showing them God's love and compassion, to help them on their road so they can get to a better place. I like the story, and I've told it here many times before, about the guy who's a very successful man. Money, I mean, all the things we think of as success in our society. Money, he's got a position in the city, he's got a respect of others, everything that we say that people want to have. And a young man came up to this successful fellow and said, "What is your secret? What is the secret to your great success?" And the successful guy said, 2 words: good decisions. And the young man said, "Okay, well, how do I make good decisions?" And the successful guy said, 1 word: experience. And the young man said, "Oh, really? Well, how do I get experience?" And the successful man said, 2 words: bad decisions. Bad decisions. Well, see, Jesus would see these people who had done dumb things, who had done the worst thing they could do, and he simply saw them in the bad decision stage of life. How can I help this person onto the good decision stage of life? And that's what he would do, just simply by showing them love and compassion and healing them of what they were suffering from and giving them this hope and this opportunity. It's really, a lot of it's about hope, isn't it? Being able, people in a hopeless situation, and I'll tell you, that's one thing we can do. We may not be able to give somebody in a hopeless situation, or they may be feeling it's a hopeless situation, all the money they need to get out of it, all the resources they need to get out of it, but we can give them the hope that they're not in it alone, that God is with them, that we are with them, and that there is a path out. There is a path that goes to the place where they want to be and where we know that God wants them to be. Yeah, we got to be careful that we don't spend too much time blaming people and putting them in these different categories, because all of us, we're all on this path, right? This path from where we are to where we're going to be, and that's something we can all help each other out with. But here's a couple of things that we got to keep in mind as we're trying to be like Christ. And we're trying to help others. We're trying to serve others. One is safety, right? We are called to help other people. But we are not called to put ourselves in an unsafe situation. Right? We've learned this lesson. We keep learning it over and over and over again. To help somebody in need is something we should absolutely do. To do it in such a way that puts us and our lives at risk is something we are not called to do. There are simply too many ways we can be of help to others in our community without putting ourselves and our families into a dangerous situation. And so we don't need to feel guilty if we say no to our instincts. Those immediate instincts tell us this is a dangerous situation. We need to listen to that. And we need to go find a safe place where we can be of help to people. We don't need to take serious risks. And another thing we need to keep in mind too is as we think about the wrong people and being with the wrong people and helping the wrong people, that's always good to do only in so much as we are influencing them more than they're influencing us. Especially for our young people to know it's all right to be with those who are, doing the wrong thing. As long as we're influencing them more than they're influencing us. That's a very easy thing to do, is to get in with a group like that and to think we're going to do them some good, and they actually drag us down instead of us lifting them up. So that's something we need to keep in mind. But we also need to keep in mind that Jesus is there for those who are in need. I like the old sign that was in front of a store in a little town that said, "We buy junk and we sell antiques." And that's what Jesus would do, right? He'd see people who thought they were junk. People had this low opinion of themselves, and he would help them to see that value that was within them. Wow, what a high calling that is. How wonderful that would be if we could do that for one person, or 10 people for that matter, here in this week ahead. To see somebody who is down and to help them to have some of that hope, to try and to lift them back up again. Because I tell you one thing, probably the most important thing we have to remember about the wrong people is we're all the wrong people. Every person in this world, we right here, we are in as much need of God's grace and forgiveness as the greatest rascal out there. Right? We absolutely depend on it. There's nothing that we can do ourselves to get there. We rely on God's forgiveness. We rely on Jesus Christ to get us to that place where we are reconciled with God. We have to keep in mind that we are in this place. We are all the wrong people at times. It's just that for us here, our wrongness is hidden. It's better concealed than with other people. But that brokenness exists within each and every one of us. I like the old story supposedly about the shipbuilders back in ancient times, especially in the kingdom of Phoenicia. They would build these great sailing ships that would go all around the Mediterranean. It's a great technological achievement for human beings to be able to sail all around the Mediterranean Sea. And as they were building these sailing ships, right in the most inaccessible part of the ship, it was the part where the mast stood. Right there, where the mast was pressing down on the keel of the boat, before they put the mast in, they would put a gold coin there. And then they would put the mast on, and it would be secured there, so nobody could get to that gold coin. But everybody who knew this secret, all these boat builders knew, that no matter how wrecked a ship was on the rocks, no matter how old it was, no matter how damaged it became, it always had this secret value within it. It always had this coin hidden there under the mast for those who knew about it. That's a great way to picture Jesus. Walking among the rocks of the sea, and there we all are, these broken ships, each of us broken in a slightly different way. And there is Jesus finding that specialness, finding that value, finding that little bit of hope within us. And the wrong people become the right people because of God's love. May we, all of us, experience that. And may also all of God's children. Let us bow in prayer. Loving God, we do give thanks that you give us the opportunity to be your hands and feet in this world, to be your presence among those who are in need. Loving God, help us to do that every time we go into a hospital room where someone is sick, every time that we go into a funeral home where a family is grieving, every time we see someone who is in need that we can be of help to. God, help us to feel your love, your Spirit channeled through us, and help us to know what we can say, what we can do to bring your love and compassion to those moments where we can give people the hope that they deserve to have. Loving God, inspire us, especially as we are around those in need. And all that we say and all that we do. And Lord, if we certainly need your strength, your help, your guidance to do this, and there's no better place to receive that than here at your table. Lord God, bless this bread and this cup, these elements to the nourishment of our bodies and our spirits. May we be fed here today as one family of faith, that we can be ready to go out into this world and to make a difference. It is in Jesus Christ's name we pray.